Okay, so let's pick up where I left off last week in the הקדמה to המצוות of וידוע, גם כן, שהקרבנות אין קרבין אלא במקדש, ושהעבודה אינה מותרת חוץ מהעזרה. וכן דיני נפשות אין דנין בהם אלא בזמן שבית המקדש קיים. The Rambam here is dealing with a list of types of mitzvahs which are known that they are not applicable today, b'zman hazeh. And this list at the moment includes those mitzvahs which are the mitzvahs of karbonos and the mitzvahs that are dependent on karbonos or in karbonos are involved in them, and mitzvahs that are dependent on Sanhedrin, they only noeg b'fnei habayis. And the mitzvahs which depend upon melech and nevuah, these mitzvahs also not noeg b'zman hazeh. And that's what he's going to, this is what he's going to be doing here for till the end of this Hakdama. So his first statement is, it's Yodua, it's known that karbonos are only korav in mikdash, if there's a mikdash. So therefore, he says, since b'zman is there's no mikdash and no karbonos. So here, the first question which one must ask is, we all know that we paskin makriv af b'shem bayis. And the Rama paskins it in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, Perek Vov, Alocha, Tezvov, Lefikach makriv HaKarbonos, Kulam, Afal Pi, Shein Shom Bayis Bonui, V'erchen Kochin Kalim, B'chol Azora, Afal Pi Shehi Chaleva, V'eina Mukefes B'mechitza, V'erchen Kochin Kalim, U'mais Sheni B'chol Yerushalayim. Afal Pi she'ein shom choimos, she'akdusha rishona kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel l'asalova. That's the psak of the Rambam. Makriv af b'shem bayis. And not only does he paskin it in Mishnah Torah, he paskins it in Sefer HaMitzvos, in Minyan HaMitzvos, Loisa said Tzadi. At the end, he says, "V'chein halocha mipnei shehu ro'ui l'kol." We'll come back to this bli neder. Lefi shaklal hanochein etzleinu makriven afal pi she'ein bayis. That's v'fush. The psak of makriven af she'ein bayis here in Minyan HaMitzvos also, and he also paskins it in another place in Ma'aseh Karbonos in Perek Yud Tes Halacha Tezvov. Shechiyom b'zman hazeh kores al shchut echutz, because makriv af b'shem bayis. He writes there, Misha shochat kodshim b'zman hazeh v'hel echutz lazor chayiv v'vinei shu roi l'kol b'fnim shari mutar lahakriv afal pi she'ein shom bayis kedusha rishona kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel l'asalova. Moshe B'Yarba. So what's the Rambam mean that these mitzvahs are not noyeg today? We paskin maklim lapashun bias. In fact, I heard from the Rav in the name of, he heard from his father, the name of the Zayder of Chaim, and it's also printed in Chedush of Chaim in Mipi Shmuel in a piece called Be'inyan Sirius Oimer. Rab Chaim interprets the Rambam's Shita in Perek Zayin of Hilchos Tamidim Musaf Maloch of Dalet, that Sirius Oimer, Bzman as the Rambam's Shita is Sirius Oimer, Bzman as the Raisa. The question is, why? We're not makriv the Oimer. So Rab Chaim says, because makriv not be shame bias. And the only thing, there's the two oinus. And let's say Lu Yitzur, that in Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim, and there was an oinus, and I wasn't makriv the Oimer, do I have to have serious Oimer? The answer is absolutely yes. And Rab Chaim says, who are din Bzman Hazeh? And therefore, he says, Bzman Hazeh, and Bifnei Abayis, Shelo Yekrives Oimer, is the same and today. So therefore, serious Oimer Bzman Hazeh is the Raisa. Similar thing in the Chasam Sefer, in Shuvas Chasam Sefer, Chelik Beis, Yehuda, Siman Reish Lamed Vav. So I remember, and the Rav mentioned his grandfather's piece in a Shiur Maria, and on the way back to yeshiva in the car, I started talking to the Rav about this Chaim, and then, like, just I don't know, he says, I don't understand my grandfather. And he started saying that the assumption that Rab Chaim has that Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim and Bzman She'ein Mikdash Kayim Ahainu Hach, because Makriv Mapi She'ein Bayis, there's the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Gimel Beis, and on the base of that, the Rambam Paskins in Hilchos Yisurim Mizbech in Perek Aleph Halacha Zayin, Hamatul Mum Bekochim, Kagon Shesima Einoi or Koto Yodoi Loike. Matul Mum in Kochim Mizbech is Chai Malkus. It's Chai Malkus. So comes the Rambam, and that the Chiyuv Malkus is only Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim. Ain't Beis HaMikdash Kayim, there's no Malkus. Hamatul Mum Bekochim, Kagon Shesima Einoi or Koto Yodoi Loike V'chulei. Ve'eno Loike El Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim. Shahari Hoyu Roy L'Korban L'Posla. Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash, you can bring it as a korban. Bzman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim, you can bring it as a korban. Aber Bzman Hazeh, Afal Pi She'ova B'lei Saseh, Eino Loike. L'chay, what it means, that it's not Roy L'Korban. But whatever it is, it's clear it's clear that we don't equate b'zman shebeis hamikdash kayim and b'zman she'ein beis hamikdash kayim. That's what he asked me, and he asked me something else about Ma'aseh Sheni, but this is the gist of the discussions. I don't understand, my grandfather, that you could equate the two. So once you question Reb Chaim's premise, and you question that Makriv and Af b'shem bayis, and the bayis Kayim is Hainu Hach, this all these working postulates and assumptions, one can begin to work and think about this, what the Sefer Chinuch says in Mitzvah Tov Mem. He says that B'zman hazeh, there's no mitzvah shalakovas karbonos. He means there's no obligation to be makriv karbonos b'zman hazeh. Okay, so if we're going to say that the mitzvah is not noig b'zman hazeh, we're going a step further than the Rambam and saying not only is there no chiyuv to be makriv, but also there's no kiyum. There's no makriv, it doesn't exist. It's not just that I'm chayiv and I can't be makriv b'tois oinus. I'm not chayiv and there's no kiyum. The B'kitzur, makriv and af al pi she'ein bayis is only a heta hakrova. The assumption is that the Isa shchutei chutz, which the Ram clearly says in Hilchos Ma'aseh Karbonos, and also in Minyan HaMitzvos in Loiseh Tzadi, shchutei chutz is noei b'zman hazeh, that the Isa of chutz depends upon the heta krova, and therefore is an Isa chutz b'zman hazeh. And it's meduik in Lashon Rambam that the Akrova B'zman hazeh is only a heter. The Rambam in Hilchos Ma'aseh Karbonos Perek Yutes Halacha Tes Vav, he concludes. He says Yechai B'zman hazeh koros al shchutei chutz, because makriv af b'shem bayis. And why and what is it based on? Which postulate? And this is his lashon. Shahare muta lahakriv af al pi she'ein shom bayis. There's only a heter. There's no chiyuv. So since there's a heter akrova, there's a problem of shchutei chutz. But as far as the mitzvahs, which are intertwined with akrova in general, of the mitzvah akrova, since it's only a heter, they don't exist. That is the suggestion here. The Kilis Yankiv in Zvochim, in Simon Lamed Aleph, and Avodah Zarah Simon Zion, working with the chinuch, but not say with the jump that I They have over here that there's no kiyum, it's only a heter, but working the chin is no chiyuv, he deals with other questions also. Next, there's another option over here to answer this. And this is the following. That the reason why mitzvahs are not noyeg, the mitzvahs that depend upon karbonos are not noyeg b'zman hazeh, is because there's no mizbeach. There's no per se in the mitzvah b'zman hazeh, but kol zman, there's no mizbeach, there's no mitzvah called mitzvahs, because there's no, you can't be makriv. Is makriv up b'shem bayis is only if there's a mizbeach. So according to the first shot, there's afkol the mitzvah pidin. According to the second shot, there's afkol here. In echetim, so it's not noyeg because there's no mizbeach. The Turiyevin in Kuntrus Achroin, Seif Diva Maschel, Omnam Lechera, seems to take this approach. So there are two approaches over here in Rambam. One might ask a question. So if you want to say that everything depends upon having a mizbeach or not about bias and mitzvah and mizbeach, then it's only in hechatimsa. There's no mitzvah. So why is there chiyuv of shchut echutz? Befrat that if you're shoichet b'chutz kol b'sichas dalchus hechol, because not going to Pesach oil moed, there is no chiv chutz. So this issue is beyond the purview what we're talking about. I'll give you a ma'amakimis if you're interested, a ma'amok if you're interested. Bisklov in Chedushi Agriz in Yonim Simen Mem Zayin Diva Maschel v'hinei ateises biyuma. Samach Gimel Shom. So he talks about this issue, but it's really not for us at the moment. The sentence. Vidua on this Vidua Gam Kain Shakabonus Kulon ain't Craven al Bamikdash that we had already. ושהעבודה אינה מותרת חוץ מן המקדש. So what does the Ram want with this sentence? Because the Ram holds there is a chiyuv hakovas chutz. So maybe adarabba. She'avoida eina muteres ela chutz min hazara. So the Ram's saying there's no possibility of hakovas karbonos any place. Because the chutz l'mikdash, you can't bring it, but you can't bring chutz l'mikdash. Is a problem of chutz. And the mikdash you can't bring carbon, whether there's, you can't bring a carbon, because there's no mizbeach. just so we just have to deal, so what's he trying to say? It seems there are like two sentences over here. We don't understand what the second one is most upon the first. וידוע גם כן שהקרבנות כולם אין קיים במקדש, שהעבודה אינה מותרת חוץ מן המקדש, או אסור חוץ מן המקדש. So what's he trying to say? And l'chayr she'eina muteret chutz hamikdash, he's talking about the isurim of Allah's chutz and shchutei chutz. And that's what he says, l'chayr chutz lazora. And so then it's a problem because he clearly says that it's not. It clearly says that there is a chiyuv chutz, unless he says that he's not talking about the chiyuv chutz. He's just saying there's no possibility of karbonos. In mikdash, you can't be makriv because there's no mizbeach. And in chutz mikdash, you can't be makriv because it's a chutz. So in Mela, there's no possibility of karbonos. B'zman is there, and maybe that's what he's saying. Okay, now next sentence in the Rambam, v'chein דיני נפשות אין דונים בהם בזמן שבית המקדש, אלא בזמן שבית המקדש קיים. So, what he's saying is that at the moment, even though there might be an institution as Sanhedrin, but Sanhedrin cannot be done Dini Nefoshes, because you need Beis HaMikdash Kayim for Dini Nefoshes. That's what the Rambam in Minyan HaMitzvos, and I say, Huf Ayin Vov, he should tzivonu limnois shoftim v'shoitrim sheyachrichu la'aseis mitzvos haTorah v'yachziru anoitim miderech ha'emes eleho al kocham. Okay. Avol v'chulei, avol lo yodinu b'dinei nefoshes. Lo ba'oretz v'lo b'chutz la'oretz. Elen kikein hoye beis hamikdash beis habechira oimed kamo shebi'alnu b'psichas hamaymo hazeh. So you understand, he's referring to this Rambam, and that's the Rambam saying there's no Dini Nefoshes today because you need Beis HaMikdash Kayim. Then he has the following statement, which is very interesting, and we'll have to understand its significance maybe later, Hashem, or next week, we'll see Bli Neder. V'loshen ha'mechilta, s'mechut b'shumi yochoi, Parshas Mishpotim, Perek Chof Aleph, Posek Yudaled, Minayin she'ein meimisen, elo b'fnei habayis, Talmud loima meim mizbechi tikolchen olomus. Ho im yesh bias atomemis, v'im lav I atomemis. So that l'chera, this mechilta is a raya for the other piece that he says that Dini the Fosh only noeg b'zman שבית המקדש קיים. Then he adds another sentence. V'shom ne'emar gam kein minayin shetehei sanhedrin smucha lemizbeach. The first is talking about whether mizbeach is extant or not. But the second discussion is a discussion about where geographically the Sanhedrin should be. Minayin shetehei Sanhedrin smucha lemizbeach. Tamuloima me'im mizbechi tikochen olamus. In Hilchos Sanhedrin, he quotes a different pasuk. Per Yudalet alochir aleph ein donim dinin nefoshes el b'fnei abayis. V'hu sheyiyeh bezdin agodo shom belishka שבמקדש שנאמר בזוכים ממרי לבלתי לשמוע על הכהן בלי לשמוע לומדו שבזמן שיש כהן מקריב על גבי מזבח יש דיני נפשות והוא שיהיה בזדין הגודל במקומות. We'll have to see about this. And we'll see a little bit later. It's really, I can't ask the question until we do the next part of the Rambam. Let's continue. Vidua gam kein. שהנבואה והמלוכה כבר נסתלק ממנו וכולי. So the Rambam is saying that any mitzvahs which are intertwined with Novi or Melech, they're not noeg b'zman hazeh. And therefore the Ram quotes later, all Novi umelech, because anything which depends on Novi Melech, the mitzvahs don't exist because there's no nevuah and there's no Melech. Shehanevuah v'amelucha v'anistalku mimenu. There's no more nevuah and there's no more melucha. Ad shenoso min ha'avonos she'anachnu machzikin bohem. Until we do tshuva. V'yichapel lonu v'yachmenu. Very interesting. The discussion about whether there is a base of Mikdash Kayim or not, or that's obvious that it's because of avonos, but the nevuah and melucha is definitely because of a avonos. Kvar nistal gimenu ad shenosu min avonos shanachnu machzikim bohem. And l'chayra, this is based on Bobo Basra. Yud Beis and Beis on Rabbi Yochanan. Miyom shechol Beis HaMikdash nitlo nevuah min hanevim. So there's no nevuah after Churban Habayis. That's the Ram saying. It's after Churban Habayis, so there's no nevuah. There's a Chuvas Rashba Chelik Aleph, Simin Tov Kuf Memches. And Melucha, there's no Shilton, whatever. But the Tilgum of Kapach of Shilton, I don't know if he gains anything, because it could be the proper translation of the Arabic is Shilton, but the Ram is interested in Malchus. That's because we're talking about mitzvahs. And what the Ram is trying to say, Ad Shenosu. One second. Ad She'onu, one second. Ad Shenosu min avoinu she'anachnu machzikin bohem. In Kapach, mamshichim bohem, which makes a lot more sense. Machzik and avoinu, the question is, what does it mean? It means that you do the Avera. You're continuing to do the Avera. Well, you could have said machzik bohem, they don't do tshuva. No, it doesn't make any sense. When mamshichim, we do it because you can't say shemachzikim when we're not doing tshuva. V'yichapel lonu. And still will be we do tshuva, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is mechaper and merachem. So you need dafka tshuva and vidui. As the Ram says, he has a lashon, shebezichon dvorim u'elu noshuv lehetiv, shenema vizvadu es avoinom v'es avoin avoisom. And with this, there'll be kapara. And the Ram is a big chiddush that even if we have kapara, that's not enough. You need a separate lachmei shemayim. B'chapel lonu v'yachmei. We do tshuva. Is vizvadu es avoinom v'es avoin avoisom. And this Ram in Perek Hey, because tiniest aloch aleph, when he's talking about the tiniest historical fast days. And besides vidui, we need kapora and rachmei shamayim. Kmo sheyodanu kapach, I think in the Kol of Korach also, kmo she'adnu, they looked to tachtinu, that there was avtocha. V'yachzirum lanu. Kmo she'oma b'chazoros and nevuah, v'hoya achrei, kein eshboch es ruchi al kol boso v'nibu b'neichem v'noisechem. So that's by chazoros nevuah. So here, the Ram is learning from this pasuk in Yoel, that that it's only afterwards there'll be nevuah. And before that, there won't be nevuah. So the word ruchi, let's go over it again. V'hoy achrei chen, ki eshboch es ruchi. Eshboch es ruchi is the koyach hanevuah that the Rebbeinu shall give to Bnei Adam b'mos Mashiach. And it's also a medrash like that in Bamidbar Rabbo, Pash Baloischa, Pash Tezvov, Simchav Hey, Oma Kodesh Baruch Hu, Oma Kodesh Baruch Hu, B'olam Hazeh Nisnabu Yichidim, Ulam Habo Kol Yisrael Nasa Neviim, Shenema V'hoyu Achrei Kein Eshbech Es Ruchi Al Kol Bosa V'nibu B'neichem V'noisechem Ziknechem. So Olam Habo, I guess he means Moshe Mashiach, if you put this measures together with the Rambam. And this is Chazos and Nevuah. So Mela, all the mitzvahs which depend upon Nevuah will then be applicable. Said that which mitzvah is he talking about? He's talking the mitzvah Eila Tishmol, the whole portion. The problem is that the Ram and the mitzvahs which make Bzman Hazeh in the seal mitzvah say, he says Eila Tishmol is noeg Bzman Hazeh, which I don't understand. So I'm very confused. Monashach is the nevuah. So the mitzvah noeg nevuah should be noeg. And there's no nevuah, they shouldn't be noeg. It's very clear in the Rambam. Let's start like this, okay? The Rambam in the Hakdama to Pirush HaMishnah in Meseches Avos, Shmona Prokim Perek Zayin, that's where it is. In the beginning of the seventh Perek in the Atera, in Moed Nevuchim Chelik Beis, Perek Lamed Beis, the Rambam has a very clear postulate that only a person who reaches Shleimus Hamidas and a certain intellectual prowess can have Nevuah. So then, let's read the pasuk again. Yishpoich ruchi al kol boso v'nibu b'neichem b'neisechem. So it means everyone is going to be in the Maila of Nevuah that they have. That they get Nevuah is one thing, but they can only get Nevuah if they have the Mailas in Nevuah. So how can it be that Bochrim u'Besulois get Nevuah? So the Radak answers this question. The Radak says that only the Bochrim and the Besulois that are in the Nevuah will receive it. and we'll be mitznabe in Yoyo, in Perek Gimel Pasuk Aleph, the Mask Eser Ruchi Al Kol Basar, the Radak writes, "Mibnei sheyizdakech sichlom v'yigabe b'miksosam koyach hadivri ad shenisnabu ki lo oma ki kum yisnabu el yinabu b'neichem b'noisechem u'b'shvichas haruach oma al kol basar." The shvichas haruach is al kol basar, aber nevuah lo yomar call Eile could call, he didn't say call, Elo v'nibu b'neichem noisechem. V'omezik neichem b'achurechem, loy kulam. V'hu al das shekosuv echochom hagodol, horav Rab Moshe. And he says, this is like the Rambam. But by Maimon Zal, ki lo tovo li odem ha-nevuah, afilu im hislamdus, elo im kain, kodom loy, teva b'eis hayitzira. He has to have a certain disposition, a certain character traits, a certain intellectual prowess in order to be able to reach that dog of nevuah. V'abonos yisnabu b'nunarusom k'moi Shmuel Hanovi v'nevuah ti Elohem b'mareh hachaloim k'mo she'omar chaloimois teches chizyonos v'chein hois nevuah loy v'neviim. Interesting. The Rambam in Nevuchim says just the opposite. The Rambam in Nevuchim in Cheli Beis, Perek Lamed Beis, brings a raya, that Shvichas Ruach al Bachum B'sulis Kan is not Nevuah Klal. And he says the reason why it's not Nevuah because Bachum B'sulis are not going for Nevuah so much. It's not the Shvichas Ruach, but it's not Nevuah because a person not going to Nevuah can. So it's the Rambam in the Nevuah is the exact opposite of what he says over here. Here, he clearly says this pasuk is referring to Nevuah, and in the Nevuchim, he says it's impossible. Okay, next. If you look in Yoel, you get the impression that this is not even talking about the Mashiach. This discussion is going on in Olam Haba, in the next world, or the whatever, because it's talking about Nisim and the Floyes, and the whole. You look at Yoel, the whole Perek Beis, and the Ram Shita is Ein Bein Olam Hazeh Mashiach El Shiva Malchus B'Chlal Bilvad. So it's not talking about a time of Nisan and Floy. So it's, I'm not sure exactly what to do over here, but that is L'chayr Kasha. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Then, ויאמר בחזור את המלך והממשלה, ביום ההוא אוקים את סוכת דובר נופלס, וגודלתי את פרציהם, והריסוסov אוקים ובנסיע כימי עולם. See here, the Gemara is very clear. We're talking about Limos and Mashiach, Limos and Hedron Sarivov and Beis, Omalei Rav Nachman, Rav Yitzchok, Mi Shmiya Locho, Emasai, Osi, Baal Nafli, Omalei, Man Baal Nafli, Omalei, Mashiach, Mashiach Baal Nafli, call his base, someone's falling, Omalei, in, Tichsi Bayom Ahu, Okim, Esukas David Hanofeles. Nofeles. Veselas. He's told him it was a Mashiach. And that's the pasuk here. Now, Okim Esukas David Nofeles, V'godalti es Pirtsehem, V'harisov Okim U'Benasia Kimei Olam. The question is, I think I mentioned this to you once. The question is, what comes first, Binyan Abayis or Malchus based David? There's a Ram Mishnah Torah about it, and the Shoshim. Okay, I'm not sure if this is really a discussion for us now. Let's go on and get something more. Question was, but I have nothing more to add to it. And then I had a whole discussion about it. I just want to go on new things. What does the Ram need a separate discussion that Malchus based David is going to come back later, since you need Melech and Sanhe, since for Hamodas Melech, you require Sanhedrin and Novi. So since Novi's only going to come back then, so maybe there's no Melech then. And Sanhedrin will see about the Mitzvah Shem. Now, okay, let's go to more substantive things that are negated to the etzem thing in Mitzvah. I mean, mitzvahs. Yeah. Vidua, Shamilchomo, the kibush ha'rotzos. This is a very difficult line. And I'm very confused about this line because it says, first of all, Yodua Shehamilchomo, now kibush ha'rotzos, there are 3 or 4 Targumim, 3 at least, 1 second. Yiyu, lo yiyu, ella, b'melech, u'batzas, Sanhedrin Godol, the Kohen Godol, Kemo Shenema Sheomar, Lifnei Elozah HaKohen Yamod. Let's do one at a time. So let's this Viadua is the following postulate. If we don't have a melech, there are no mitzvahs which depend upon milchama. And b'zman hazeh, we don't have a melech and a novi. Okay, say that. Now, before we get, let's just do the basics over here. What does it mean? He says, "Shahamilchomo lo yiyu ela b'melech u'batzas Sanhedrin gedola." So, reading this, we know from the Rambam in Hilchos Sanhedrin, in Perek Hey, maybe Halacha Aleph, I think it's Halacha Beit, not sure, is that only Mechemes Rishus requires Sanhedrin. Mechemes Mitzvah doesn't. So which Mecham is he talking about over Yedua? Shel Mecham Kish Bechotzis Lo Yil Ne'el B'Melech U'Batzas Sanhedrin Agdola. However, the Rambam later is the following line. Yeah. He says, he has like a short summary at the end. Ulepirsum ho'inyonim ho'elu kulam etzeloy v'anoshim kol mitzvahs aseh oilois aseh shetia tluya b'korbanos oy ba'avodos oy b'mises bezdin oy b'sanhedrin oy b'novi u'melech o b'mechemes mitzvah o b'mechemes rishus. So this is a summary of what he said before. So l'cheira, if he's talking later about mechemes mitzvah, mechemes rishus, this point over here, he's also referring to mechemes mitzvah and mechemes rishus, because there's no other discussion about milchama. To do it like that, because reading the Rambam in Perek Hey of Hilchos Melachim Mulchamis Halacha Aleph and Beis, this quoting part of Ein HaMelech Nilcham Tchila Ela Mechemes Mitzvah v'chulei v'achar kach Nilcham b'Mechemes Rishus v'chulei. So it means that you need Melech for both Mechemes Mitzvah and Mechemes Rishus. So it means Vidua Shamilchomo, all types of Melchama, Lo Yiyu El B'Melech. You need Sanhedrin for a peculiar type of Melchama, which is Mechemes Rishus, which is very odd in sentence structure. But if you say that he's only referring to Mechemes Rishus, it's even odder that he has a summary about something which he never said. Okay. Now here, and there is a din that you require atzas Sanhedrin for Mechemes Rishus, and that we learn out from the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, Perek Aleph Mishnah Hey, Ve'ein motziin leMechemes Rishus, HaRishus, El Bezdin Shel Shivim V'Echad. And the Makor is a Sanhedrin Tezayin with Beis, from David HaMelech, that it was Nimlach im bin Oyo ben Yoyada, who is the Mufla Sheba Sanhedrin. al Mochemes Rishus. And the Rambam Pirush Mishnayis also points this out in Perek Aleph Mishnah Hey in Sanhedrin. Now, we have two very difficult phrases, and I'm not sure I'll get to them, but we'll just see. One of them is kibush harotzos, and the other is atzas Sanhedrin. Does he mean advice? What does the word atzas means? What does he want with that? Okay, so let's start one at a time. So, kibush harotzos is a translation of Ibn Tibbon. Ibn Eov has kvishas ayoros. Harotzos ayoros, okay? But whatever it is, it's in the plural. And it's talking about conquests, wherever they are. Or you conquest land or cities, it's geographical conquests. In the Tigum Aksavya of the Kisvei Yad, I guess they probably had a different Kisvei Yad, Ibn Tibbon and Ibn Eov, because it's very serious. It says Kibush Haaretz. And then I spoke about that I saw in Kapach, and Korach also told me that that's the translation of the text we have in the Ksav Yad. So here, we just can't understand the words. Shahamilchomo v'kibush harotzos. The Rambam is trying to talk about which mitzvahs are not noyeg b'zman hazeh, because you have no melech or Sanhedrin. So what mitzvah is there? What's he talking about? What mitzvah is there? Kibush milchomos. Kibush harotzos. Kibush harotzos. So maybe the Rambam means he's not interested in bringing another mitzvah. This is not this point here. That's not noig b'zman hazeh. But he's bringing one of the matoros of Mochemes Rishus, which the Rambam has maybe two matoros. You can decide over there. You look in Hilchos Malachim, Mochemes, Perek He'aloch Aleph, and look at the lashon there. The other Targum, Kibush Haaretz and Lashon Yochid, as opposed to Kibush Harotzos, he might mean Kibush Eretz Yisrael. But the Rambam is not moiner Kibush Eretz Yisrael in Minyan HaMitzvos. It's only the Ramban in the mitzvah says Shachar Rav. Because the Rambam's opinion is that Kibush Eretz Yisrael is only mitzvah l'shor, not l'deres. Only Meyushua. So even according to this Tilgum, you have to say that the Rambam is not trying to moisev a new mitzvah, but is giving you an example of Mochemes Rishus. And Kibush Eretz Yisrael is also Mochemes Rishus today. Or after Kibush Yeshua. Just as we explained before. Because one of the matoros of Mochemes Rishus in Perek He'aloch Aleph. Okay, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll pick up next week. Bli neder.